Why do you cry? Why do you die? Why do you feel pain? Why are you to blame, angel?
Mahkochkotokskoe heetkta. Red Rock River is what I call it. I have to thank the water spirit for letting me drink from this river and wash my face in the water. Oh, kanok okay pukita piksa kinomistakskuika. Ama pistakani. Hani kochki kakusamoa watikimskawa. Akanistiwa.
What does it take to be seen as an Indian?
In order to find out, you have to ask the question, where you come from. That's where you're going to start. This is the girls' side. This is the boys. When a visitor comes in, he's going to sit, if it's a man, he's going to sit over here. If it's a woman, he's going to sit over on this side. The owner of the teepee always sits here. Some of them lose it. They lose their identity and their culture because of the shame of who they are as Indian. You have heard me talk about it. Be proud of who you are and where you come from. So this is what the tools they used back in them days. What they're going to say, Wachitsi imitatas, dog team days. This is made out of a willow or Saskatoon, carved, shaped, oiled, baked. It's got the same strength as a compound bow, same thing. It's got a lot of strength in it. I use it, I practice. Because this is your culture, what you're looking at. It's your culture. This is who you are as Indian, what they call the real people, Nitapi Tapi. This is what handed down from generation to generation. So this year you're going to carry on for the next generation. I'm going to be gone. This is going to be here. If you really understand the culture of the Blackfeet, Onitsipos in the Blackfoot language is the strongest. I happen to be fortunate enough to be around when there was a lot of elders. The stories that they have told, adventures, is what I'd be talking about. But now, today, has changed. We live in modern today. And a lot of these stories have changed with it too. A lot of the elders took with them home to the other world. Those that listened and paid attention are telling what stories was told. That's the ones that have it today and with our culture. This is how they survived going back into the time, the dog team days, how they traveled in through the mountains before this road was built. They followed the rivers. They camped along the rivers. There's a story in all rivers where they camped. Something happened. Maybe a sorrow. Maybe something good that happened in these rivers in the camp. If I go into my language in the Blackfoot, there's no stop. It's a continuous. Here I have to stop because the reason why I got to figure out how to translate that in English. Hei kipi sa tape ni päätäpi sini muistemis takis unksetsihpi. I tinika siwaaustemis takis maak matomäätäpi o tai tinikatuus. Kennoh kiisti koeknut sitä poemis takis. Sitä pspessa piausti haksi krahkuist. I tinika sinukamukse ässine miau voktiniksenik. Näet siinä kiitsi pojano. Taksaa pianistu. The TV took over now. If you notice, when you come in the house, the TV is on. That's more interested than you telling me a story. Why is it? Why is it that that is more important than me telling the story? That's where your identity is in them stories. Of talking about them, telling the story about who you are as an Indian and where you come from.
That's really important today that as Dene people, we need to learn our own culture and be involved in it. Not only be involved in it, but living in it. This is the grounds of Dene people. And like right now, we're sitting northwestern Alberta. We're about 65 kilometers south of the border of Northwest Territory. In the old days, what they used to do was that when you want a story from an elder, you go visit them, you do something for them. Like at that time, you used to burn firewood. You get water from ice water or river water. And I always wanted to be like my elder and to understand what he was trying to teach me. Very little of the elders are around today. While they're still here with us, we need to gather information. So it's really important to listen to the elders. When they speak, listen. Listen with your heart. And these are the things that I try to capture in my painting. This is the story I told you about, that the elders never finished that one story in the words of wisdom, and yet they continued on to another. And these little branches here are all the stories that I learned from them. And they always move on to another story. And today now, I believe that they wanted me to learn and to complete their story through life of understanding.
Identify.
My dad, when I was a young person, I went out with him, and he said, "Do you have eyes?" I told him, "Yeah." He said, "Use them." He said, "Do you have ears?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Use them." He wanted me to do things for myself. Heartbeat of the drum? Yeah. Yeah. You listen? To give them a little teachings about their culture and sharing and learning. I always think I have confidence in these young people that I understand one day they'll be doing the same thing as what I'm doing, is giving back to the young people.
People have had a hard time identifying who we are. And it's been a struggle that people have fought with for a long time, you know, from Sir John A. Macdonald, believing that there were no such thing as Métis people. I've always heard about not belonging in either world. And as you grow up, I think you really understand that there is the white world and there's the Aboriginal world, and we're in the middle. It was more than just about being a mixed blood people. It was about our culture. It was about our history. It was about the flying of our first flag. It was clearly about knowing who we were as people and taking from those two worlds, the European and the Aboriginal.
The infinity sign, and that's what it is. It's an infinity sign, and it means the joining of two cultures to create a new nation forever, the Métis. An interesting thing happened several years ago. I was speaking at the university, and two young fellows came up, and I said, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "We're Indians, we're from Alexander." I said, "You're not an Indian." I said, "You're from Alexander? You're a Cree." And you know, and they got up to speak after I did, and you could see the difference in them. Their heads were a little higher, and they said, "We are Cree from Alexander." That was their identity. And so this is why when they come to me and they talk, and I tell them about that. And we are the Métis.
I was brought up in a strong Métis family. So I always had the problem, well, you have blonde hair and blue eyes. I was never white enough and I was never dark enough. So the way I was taught was that we're the Rainbow Nation and we come in all colors. Yeah, I always think there was a thing with identity and not being recognized as a First Nations or a white person. So we kind of walk our own walk. I think we go walk into the world with a better understanding of both of those other worlds, the white world and the First Nations world. We walk a very fine line, I think, and we can relate to both. You go talk to your auntie and uncles and your grandparents and your parents, and you go to the church because a lot of them were baptized into the church and that. And but I think the best place to start is in your own backyard, and you go talk to your relatives and see what they say, and you learn about your family. And my experience was looking after the family. That was a big thing in our life. I was raised by a single parent, so we all kind of just stuck together and looked out for each other. So for me and my Métis family, I think that that's what it comes down to, is the family and the respect for the family, and then that just branches out to every other part of your life.
I want to show the kids what it means to be an Aboriginal person, to pass on my knowledge of being an Aboriginal person, as a Cree person. What's that birch there? One thing important is that you always got to find wood. Just don't make camp anyways. Make sure there's lots of wood like here, see? For me, I live in two different worlds. Sometimes I think, this is my home, the trailer is my home. When I go in that trailer, I watch TV, drink coffee, whatever I have to do, everything is there. That's another world for me, from where I came from. If I don't make fire here, I'll freeze. If I don't get water, hey, I'm thirsty. Block it off with spruce, the heat. Hey, thank you. Some more mattress. Aboriginal culture is survival. It's all about survival. Behave. This is what we're going to eat. And I'm going to make a toy for you guys with this. Okay? I want to show you something. Every bit of this bird we're going to use today. This is how you learn who you are, is by practicing. Being honest with them. What it's all about too. The truth, the facts. Some of the stuff we eat might kind of look like fear factor. But believe me, bro, that's how we live. Yes.
A rattle?
You got it. And then once the berries dry up, and then you have that makes that sound like the rattlers we use in the sweat lodge. So, that's what they used to use to rattle their babies to sleep with. I guess we're not trying to tell everybody to live like this. We're just saying, try some of it. You will find a lot of peace within you. You will find yourself.
Because I'm living in an urban setting and doing well, you get called names like an apple or a potato, white on the inside, brown on the outside, which raises a question in my mind: what does it take to be seen as an Indian? You're dressed a certain way, and you don't live on the reserve. Doesn't make me any less Aboriginal than somebody who is. My official title is technical consultant. My primary function is to look after the email system. I make sure that the server's functioning properly, that mail's sort of coming and going. Basically, if there's any mail problems in the company, whether it's one user having a problem or if it's one region having a problem, my phone rings. I sort of envision a transformation when I think about going from Stantec to apparel. I enjoy putting my outfit on. It makes me proud to wear my outfit. You dress a certain way, you carry yourself in a certain way. I can just kind of unwind. This is my unwind time. As rushed as we are sometimes with this, it's still unwind from that world. I guess you could say they're two different worlds, but I really don't see them that way. I see them as two different areas of our world. For my children to see us doing things like dancing, and they come with us when we dance, and they come with us when we go to a sweat, they come with us when we go to a fast, all the cultural activities that we're involved with. My children are right there, so I would hope that they're able to take some of those things and learn from them and carry them on.
I truly believe that having a sense of identity, a sense of who you are as an individual, is what moves you forward into where you go in life. And I believe that the more positive we can get, the more we can contribute and make life better for all of our Aboriginal people.
It's up to an individual to learn the best they can, and hopefully they can receive their dreams and understand the values of who they are.
I always suggest to everybody, no matter who it is, they should go spend one night by themselves in the bush, sleep under the stars, and think about your life. See what kind of answers you have in the morning. It happens.
In finding yourself and your identity as who you are as Indian people is where you're going to start, just like I told you, from the center. Where you come from. Who is your parents? That's where you're going to start. There's where they're going to find you, your identity. He has to learn two cultures in order to find himself and who he is. And you take a lot of them, born in the city, have never seen this. You couldn't believe how pretty and how beautiful it was, what you've seen out there. It made you feel that this is where I belong. Listen to it. Listen. What do you hear? You hear that bird? You'll hear a squirrel. You see, it's quiet, peaceful. You think better. You don't hear that traffic. You don't hear those cars. You don't hear that yelling. It's one of the calmest places where you would find yourself. If you can get some of them kids that never been out in the wilderness like this, and you bring them out here, it's going to go crazy. Because that's the first time he's seen beauty. Then he'll find himself who he is.
My child, you pray alone at night, praying for salvation. My child, you feel your soul in flight, spiritual summation. Why do you pray? Why do you run away? Why do you hide? Why so terrified? Angel falling down, wings that cannot fly.